is pleased to bring you the historical vignette series, The Cayman Islands. He hath founded it upon the seas.
Captain Swanson Curry Ebanks, 1914 through 1989. Curry Ebanks was the oldest of 10 children of John Audnett and Celestia Elvira Ebanks and attended West Bay Primary School. Taught by some of the great Caymanian sea captains, he took command of his first ship at 17. He qualified as a master mariner at 21 and continued his life at sea until a car accident terminated his maritime career in 1960. He married 3 times and was widowed twice, and he fathered 8 children. He is best remembered for his victorious battle with the 1944 hurricane, which overtook his ship, the Jemson, en route from Swan Island to Grand Cayman. At the height of the storm, he decided to demast the ship to prevent it from rolling over, which would have meant certain death for everyone aboard. During the next 8 days, the ship had to be demasted 3 times. Each time, Captain Curry had the sails put into a seaman's bag and attached to the bow to function as a sea anchor, guiding the ship purely by dead reckoning. When the storm subsided and he got his first confirmed sighting, he was 5 miles off East End.
Radio Cayman News.
Local grocery stores are forced to implement product limits after panic buying by residents.
The government is taking in all seriousness the magnitude and the severity of this matter.
A reminder from the Chief Medical Officer, all people who have arrived on flights are required to self-isolate.
I think the most likely decision 3 weeks from now is an extension of the current state.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
National Drug and Alcohol Facts Month in Cayman is bringing a variety of competitions for all ages. Teachers, students, and schools, this is your chance to win big prizes by entering one or more of our competitions. Secondary schools and students, enter our TikTok competition, Battle of the Canvases, and the poster contest. Primary schools, your classroom door competition is all about healthy living. All the deadlines and information is on our website. Enter the competition. Let's get creative and shatter the myths today. For more information, check out our website, ndc.ky, call 949-9000, or email info@ndc.ky.
We understand that things are different, and we are committed to providing you with the service that you need with convenience through our MyCUC online portal. Working remotely and students being home from school doesn't have to mean higher electricity bills. Monitor and manage your energy consumption by using our Customer Connect energy management tool. This allows you to track and make adjustments to your energy usage to avoid consuming high amounts of electricity and keep your electricity bill lower. Protect your health and the health of others by avoiding crowds and using PowerPay to manage payments for accounts from wherever you are most comfortable. If you're not signed up for MyCUC as yet, it's quick and easy. Just contact our customer service team at service@cuc.ky or 949-5200 today. Remember, we're all in this together, and you've got the power to make a difference.
Persons having difficulty coping and managing stress during these difficult times can call a new confidential mental health helpline, which is operated by the Cayman Islands government in collaboration with private partners. The number is 1-800-534-6463. That's 1-800-534-6463. Hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Additional hours will be added as needed. The Chief Medical Officer of the Cayman Islands, in an attempt of preventing the spread of COVID-19 in the community, has issued the following requirement. All persons who have arrived on flights from outside of the Cayman Islands since Monday, 16th March 2020, you are required to self-isolate for 14 days following your arrival. There are no exceptions. Non-compliance will result in a fine of $1,000 and imprisonment for 6 months on conviction. If this applies to you, please stay in your home or your temporary residence. Again, all persons who have arrived on flight from outside of the Cayman Islands since Monday, 16th March 2020, you are required to isolate for 14 days following your arrival.
At Cox Lumber, Cayman's #1 contractor supplier, our contractor desks are open for contractors and builders who need items or supplies. Call us or email, and we will pull your order and have it ready for pickup or free delivery. Cox Lumber's Bawdentown phone number is 943-5055, or email us at bawdentown@coxlumberltd.com. For Georgetown, call 949-0661 or email sparky@coxlumberltd.com. Our retail operations will be closed until further notice. The safety of our employees, customers, vendors, and community is our top priority. For more info or to make an order, click on coxlumberltd.com. coxlumberltd.com. Cox Lumber, Cayman's #1 contractor supplier.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tip. What is coronavirus? The novel coronavirus, COVID-19, is a new strain of coronavirus that has not been previously identified in humans. What are the symptoms? Common symptoms include respiratory symptoms of fever, cough, shortness of breath, breathing difficulties. In severe cases, coronavirus can cause pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, and kidney failure. How soon do symptoms occur? Symptoms occur 2 to 10 days after a person has been exposed. Is there a vaccine against coronavirus? Currently, there is no vaccine to protect against COVID-19. When a disease is new, it takes up to a few years for a new vaccine to be developed. For information, you can email questions to flu@hsa.ky or call one of the hotline numbers of 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/coronavirus.
Here is where tradition never dies. This is your radio, Cayman.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome to Talk Today. We're having a slightly later start than normal, but my name is Patrick Schmid and I'm sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. It's a pleasure to be with you here at Radio Cayman and welcome to our listening audience from throughout the Cayman Islands. We have the pleasure of the presence of some very important ladies with us who are going to clarify additional details in relation to the ongoing situation in relation to the COVID-19 issue. And we will not have an opportunity for questions in the immediate aftermath of the discussion, but that may change as time goes on. So when we return from the commercial break, we'll be ready to get going and I will make the introductions and let Elitis take it away. Thank you.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. I have the pleasure of being joined right now, firstly by Ms. Danielle Coleman, the Director of Hazard Management. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
Thank you. As well as both Nicole Quinlan, who is the Acting Deputy Director of the Department of Children and Family Services, and the Acting Director, pardon me. I have difficulty keeping up with the titles. It's old age. And Cassandra Ferron, who is the Manager of Elderly Services for the Department of Children and Family Services as well. So welcome to you both.
Having us.
And so without further ado, I'm going to go directly to Danielle, who is going to take it away in respect of hazard management and the issues she wishes to bring to the public.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Pleasure.
Again, I'm sure everyone tuned in this afternoon or this morning to the press conference, and there will be more details this afternoon. Obviously, we're taking some quite robust measures and very proactive measures to make sure people stay at home, to ensure that everyone's playing their part to stop this virus spreading. So we are very, very thankful to the government, obviously, for doing that, but also to each and every one of us at home who have to ensure that they play their part. It's so critical at this stage that we do this, we take these measures. Again, I'll be closing. You'll hear more details from the Premier and the Governor this afternoon, but we just really want to encourage people to come on board and do what we're asking to do, so we stop this. And we don't end up like countries we've seen all around the world right now, which have such a high fatality rate. It's critical that we do these robust actions now.
Yes, absolutely. And Danielle, if I could just ask you, obviously for the benefit of the listening audience, in relation to the question of essential workers, I believe there's some work going into defining exactly who those persons are. Is that correct?
Yes, indeed. We are working at cabinet level as well as in the policy group to ensure that we recognise what essential workers are. There's a lot of work going on today to determine what that looks like. I think with the nature of this emergency, a lot of the actual critical or the essential staff that we envisage for a hurricane or an earthquake are very different from what this might look like. And of course, we have to make sure that we're thinking of every aspect of the community. Now that again includes people like fire, police, and so forth, hazard management, NEAC workers, the National Emergency Operations Centre. Yes. But it also, as the Premier mentioned today, it also includes people like farmers potentially. Right. But we need to figure out what that looks like. And again, we are open to suggestions. We will be releasing something on this hopefully later today, right, as to what essential staff looks like, and we're making sure that you do have the appropriate identification. So if you are out, after curfew and now moving forward with the more robust measures, if you are out on the streets at all, that you do have the appropriate authorisation to be so. The last thing we want to do is utilise an already pressed Royal Cayman Islands Police Service, who are working very, very hard to secure different areas. We don't want to waste their time, obviously, on anything other than ensuring that the right people are on the roads.
Absolutely, thank you for that. And also, just in relation to the, I believe His Excellency the Governor spoke briefly about air bridge to the UK. Could you tell us maybe a little bit more about what is proposed, or?
Yeah, I think again it won't be incoming traffic at this stage. Obviously, we've blocked the borders to make sure we can contain and suppress anything on island. And those details will be coming up further soon. And we have set up a line, an emergency helpline, it's called. Now, this is not the National Emergency Operations Centre, nor is it the flu hotline. We've got different hotlines for different things. Yes, mental health, we have a mental health hotline. But this one's more of a sort of potential for air bridge evacuations if needed, and just, again, people who need to get off the island. But again, those details are being figured out as we speak to what that looks like and the logistics behind it. And again, whether we can assist our other overseas territories to be an air bridge as well for them. So that's all kind of in the working. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes between, obviously, the National Emergency Operations Centre, the Cabinet, that we met yesterday, again, the National Hazard Management Executive. So there's a lot of different, and the policy group meeting every day. So there's quite a very strict battle rhythm as to what that looks like. Right. And we're making sure that these decisions are making very quickly. We can't afford, we don't have the luxury of time to be messing around and not making these decisions. Hence why, again, I really commend the response taken today, the decisions made, that we will be taking some very strict measures to ensure that we can suppress COVID-19.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for that clarification. If I could perhaps turn now to Nicole. Nicole, would you like to introduce the ideas, or rather the reasons why you're here?
As always, Department of Children and Family Services prides ourselves on the work that we do for the people of the Cayman Islands. In a time of crisis such as this with a pandemic, I want to assure the public that we continue to work 24/7. We have an on-call system if there are any emergencies, but because of the nature of our job and what is happening in the world today, we have to change a bit of how we deliver our services. Our primary focus at this time, and we all know that DCFS does a variety of different areas that we specialize in, but at this time we're focusing more on child abuse and child abuse, child neglect, just child protection matters, but also working with the vulnerable and the elderly. So what we would like to talk a bit about today is actually the work that we're doing with the elderly.
Right, which brings me to Cassandra. Welcome again, Cassandra.
Good afternoon, Patrick. So, as Ms. Nicole said, we are primarily focusing on the vulnerable clients at this particular point, and the elderly services within DCFS encompasses working with persons in the community, working with reports or referrals of elder abuse or neglect, and also the DCFS residential homes, which house elderly persons and also some younger persons and children with disabilities. So we have put certain precautions in place to protect the persons in our residential homes, but in also to work with persons in the community. We still continue to take any reports of elder abuse or neglect. We still have social workers that are working in regards to these particular. Sorry.
That's quite all right. I was just, if I could just interrupt you quickly, just for clarity, the relevant homes that for the elderly that you're speaking of include Maple House and the Golden Age Home. Is that correct?
Maple House and the Golden Age Home.
Yes.
To protect the residents there, and I know that was a big concern that had been asked to the department, what was being put in place to protect these persons. And we have our resident care supervisor, who's a registered nurse, and he's actually here. He'll be talking a little bit about what those precautions are. But right now, working in the communities, as I said, we still continue to take any reports of elder abuse or neglect. We have put certain precautions. Sorry, I keep having to change mics. So hopefully everybody can hear me on this one. So our social workers at this point are not going into homes for the protection of older persons and also our staff, but we continue to maintain contact through telephone. We actually have gone by to homes to deliver information. There has been a lot of flyers prepared on the precautions for the coronavirus, and as soon as they came out, we were delivering those. So we actually still go by to homes to deliver information. We can talk to persons at a distance as well in regards to any reports or referrals that come in. So we're still actively working those particular cases. Another step that we put in place is that we've asked all social workers in the department to provide cell numbers for clients to make contact with them. So clients that are already assigned now have contact numbers for their social worker that they can reach them directly and not have to come into our office, because we've also restricted some persons coming in there.
Right.
So they are able to make contact with the social worker quite readily. And of course, we still have our on-call system that we can be reached on weekends. There's emergency cases, and we get those calls from police, from HSA, from wherever they come from. So we're still actively, pursuing what we can do to protect our older persons.
Right. And Cassandra, in terms of those persons who may not necessarily own a phone, is that something which you're being able to provision at this time or not at this stage?
Well, what we would like to do is encourage the community, the general public, if they know of an older person or think that an older person needs particular assistance from DCFS, they can make the referral to us. In fact, one came in just yesterday, and we were able to, a very kind gentleman in the community felt that there was particular concern for some older persons. We actually reached out to them, but they in particular had their own system set up, and they were able to explain how their family members were assisting them. So even if it's not particular a situation of neglect or abuse, but you feel that an older person needs help, you can send in information. We have an email address that we work, we take reports from. It's DCFS Elderly Services at gov.ky. So DCFS Elderly Services at gov.ky. And the on-call system as well still works. Persons call into the police, and they make contact with the DCFS on weekends after office hours as well. Persons can still contact our office. We still have persons there manning the telephones. We have a skeleton staff that work within the DCFS office. The number is 949-0290, and the office in Cayman Brac is 948-2331.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. And just for clarity, you said on the weekends, the first point of reference would be to the police.
Yes.
And the number there is 949-4200.
4222.
4222.
That's
Georgetown Police
yes.
Station. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
We've also partnered with Meals on Wheels as well, and we provided cell numbers to Meals on Wheels persons. So if they're delivering the meals and they see that an older person might need particular help, we provided cell numbers for social workers working with older persons as well, that if we need to do checks on those persons, we can certainly do so.
Right. And in relation to your staff at Maple House and the Golden Age Home, I presume that they have a similar type of training protocol to the HSA staff. Is that correct?
Yes, our staff are caregivers, and then we have 2 registered nurses that supervise the team of caregivers. I will invite Nurse Derby Mendoza to come in and talk a little bit about, what are the precautions there in regards to Golden Age Home and Maple House.
Okay.
But I also want to just make note that we also have put restrictions in place and put assistance in place for our staff to protect our staff as well, because our staff have to work in the home 24/7. So right. We have to make sure that the staff are there and they are protected as well. So I'll let Nurse Derby speak a little bit about precautions that we started from the week before last.
Of course, welcome. Oh, sorry, just before Mr. Mendoza comes on, we have, I think Nicole has something else to contribute.
Yeah. One of the things I'd like to mention is DCFS also has the Kakernel Home Center in Cayman Brac,
right.
And the measures that we have in place in Grand Cayman is also mirrored in the BRAC.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for that. Mr. Mendoza, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So yes, to discuss the precautions that we've implemented at the residential facilities, specifically Maple House and Golden Age Home. From weeks before, we've kind of already prepared for the preparation for this COVID. So we have already kind of restricted visitors. Initially, we had limited visiting time, but as soon as the first case was reported, we have restricted all visitors coming in to Maple House. This includes non-essential visits to Maple House. Next, we've also advised our staff to, first of all, take care of themselves, to practice measures, especially hand washing, sanitizing on their way to work, when they reach the work, even during work hours as well. We have provided our staff as well with masks and gowns to be used as needed. When they're dealing with our clients at the homes. Prior to the public buses being restricted, we have also asked our staff to bring their work clothes to the homes and make a change of clothes just to ensure that nothing's being brought in to the homes.
Right.
This way we can really decrease chances of infection coming in. Furthermore, we have asked our staff to also report if they are feeling unwell, have the symptoms of cough and cold, to report to HSA, call the flu hotline, and be advised as to whether to come or not.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And just by way of a reminder, of course, the flu hotline number is 947-7077, I believe it is. I'm just going to double check those details. But in the interim, I'd like to go back to Danielle for some additional contributions.
Yeah, I'm actually going to have to head off for another meeting right now. But again, it just goes to show, how much collaboration is going on behind the scenes with different government departments. Also, private-public partnership. Obviously, there's a lot of private entities working very closely with government to make sure our response, be it right now for the response to obviously suppression, but also economic continuity and making sure we can see what happens in a couple of weeks' time. How do we make sure that we don't destroy the economy? It's really important we're having that balance. But of course, the priority right now is to suppress this and making sure we're all, doing what we can to avoid transmission. Just to say, of course, the most vulnerable people really are in this virus are the elderly, are those who suffer from chronic illnesses. So it's just critical that these sort of steps are being taken by DCFS and by other agencies to make sure that those people are catered for. And just to remind the public again, you may yourself think that you're invincible, but we really need to look out for each other and make sure that we're supporting those who are the most vulnerable. You see reports again all over the world, because this is so dynamic, that some of these things change dramatically. So there are people dying much younger without any illnesses. But at the same time, the most vulnerable we know are the elderly and those with those kind of illnesses. So let's make sure we do our very, very best to help each other, to support each other. While social distancing is important, that doesn't mean, it's more physical distancing. Let's make sure we're, checking up on our neighbours, checking up on our elderly friends, family members and so forth. If they do need door drops, for example, let's help them get the groceries in. Let's make sure we're doing everything we can to support them, because right now, again, they are the most vulnerable.
Right. Thank you so much. And also just to add, I believe that the Premier was stressing the point that obviously for those who are concerned about incoming cargo and the availability of foodstuffs and so on, that is not something which is going to be in any way affected.
Well, again, everything's very dynamic, but we are doing everything we can to ensure that, cargo is coming through. Again, the air bridge is going to help with potential medication and so forth. But our cargo port and our supermarkets are very much up and running. And whilst obviously we're taking precautions to make sure we don't do big group gatherings in the supermarket, and we're working closely with the supermarket to avoid that, they will continue to function. So no one should worry about panic buying or trying to get everything they need today, because that's those things will continue to function normally. Right. It's just we're asking the public to take it seriously. Try to stay at home unless you have to go out for essential things. And again, more details will follow on the press conference this afternoon.
Great. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
And I'd just like to quickly correct my misstatement of the flu hotline. The numbers are 947-3077, and then toll free is 1-800-534-8600. So we're going to go to a short commercial break at this stage, and when we're back, we'll be talking further with the DCFS.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walker's Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken chair.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken chair.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC. Just $12 each. And it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
At Canine Resort and Spa, your dog gets the red carpet treatment. That's why people trust us and pets love us. Offering doggy daycare, boarding, training, and grooming services for any breed, size, or style. From head to tail, we'll make your dog smile.
Choose from 4 grooming packages, from the basic bronze package of a hydrobath, shampoo and conditioner, wash and blowout, to the platinum package including spa services like a doggy massage and berry facial. Canine will help your pet look picture perfect. Receive a loyalty card where your 6th grooming package is free. Limited availability.
Visit canineresort.com for details on grooming packages, doggy daycare, and resort services. Canine Resort and Spa, where the posh dogs go.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman.
We are pressing for everyone to use their good conscience. Don't be selfish in respecting the suggested distance of 6 feet and the washing of hands constantly. Please check on your neighbors and especially our elderly. Also, persons who have chronic lung disease, diabetes, bronchitis, cancer, or asthma. Check on your family members and isolate them soonest as possible. I ask those persons who smoke until it's clear, please do not put anything in your lungs that are not natural. You may well be increasing your risks. This includes vaping. Self-isolation is very important for our country's ability to bounce back quickly to some normalcy. This disease is not prejudice.
It is important, if you come from the UK or the US or indeed anywhere else across Europe or indeed the world these days, to self-isolate. Stay alone for 14 days until you are certain that you do not have the virus and therefore cannot pass it on.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid and I'm sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We have the pleasure of 3 members of the very competent team at the Department of Children and Family Services, and they are assisting us to understand what measures are being taken in order to best protect the elderly within our community. And so without further ado, I will hand back to Nicole, the Deputy Director of DCFS, Cassandra, the Manager of Elderly Person Services, and to Mr. Mendoza, who is the Resident Care Services Senior Nurse. Is that correct? Thank you. And so...
Just for clarity, I think people are probably wondering where a director is.
Okay.
Ms. Mendoza Williams is currently head of Human Concerns Cluster. So her and the deputy director, Mr. Roberts, are currently overseeing all the human concerns of this pandemic.
Right.
Right. So we're here today to, as we said earlier, to just talk about how the vulnerable and elderly are affected, and how DCFS is doing our best with many partner agencies to make sure that they are taken care of, that they receive all the information that we have available to give them.
Right.
And I just want to stress too that people turn to the HSA.
Yes.
They have the information, they have the reliable, up-to-date information, and that's what we're trying to disseminate to the community.
And if I could just ask you there on that point, I think during the break we were discussing the fact that the DCFS in many ways acts as sort of a disseminator of information among other important roles in relation to organizations who work directly with the elderly regularly, such as Meals on Wheels.
Mm-hmm. Meals on Wheels. We have other community partners like Lions Pantry, the various Kodak groups. It depends on from district to district. And one of the things that we're doing is it's all hands on deck.
Right, of course.
Right, so we have the community development officers. They are currently working at the hotels with the young persons that came in from the flights. We have them also going out and assisting to disseminate the flyers and with the checking on the elderly and the vulnerable in the communities. One of their roles is to speak to them and find out what's happening, where it is that they need assistance. Mm-hmm. And if we can't provide assistance directly ourselves, we make sure that we sort of liaise with the other agencies or other organizations that can help them.
Right. Excellent. And also, I should just take this opportunity to say to the listening audience that the DCFS is now prepared to take calls with any questions that you might have. But just a reminder, as we do have very limited time, if you could please make sure that that you have some very concise questions for our DCFS representatives here. That would be tremendous. Thank you very much. Cassandra, did you want to add anything at this stage?
Yes, I'd just like to add that I think it's very important that the right information is passed to persons in the community on the precautions for the coronavirus. And so the flyers that we've been handing out are flyers from the public health. And these are, this is information that, is updated regularly. In fact, we started handing out information from the very first flyers that came out, and then there was updated ones specifically directed to vulnerable persons, and so we passed those on as well. And I know that there's a lot of information that's shared via WhatsApp and people are talking, and I think it is something that families need to be aware of, persons that are working with older persons and persons that are helping older persons, that please try to share the most pertinent information. I mean, there's a lot of fake information out there, and if you haven't gotten the flyer, it's on the government website, gov.ky/coronavirus. There is another flyer that's being developed specifically for caregivers of older persons, and that is we're told by Government Information Services that is to come out very shortly, and so that's something that we'll also be helping to distribute as well. But I find with older persons, at times you have to reiterate the information, so it's you might talk with them today and you still try to talk with them again tomorrow on the information, why it's helpful, why we have to use these precautions, and trying to get the appropriate information to them. So persons out there working with older persons, families of older persons, just be patient. If you have to share the information several times, just do so. If you have to show them certain things, how to cover their sneeze, the cough in their shoulder. If you have to show hand washing, do that. Whatever you can do at this point to help our older persons, we appreciate it. We see that the supermarkets have designated certain times for older persons. Just be mindful of that. If you can drop off food to older persons, that is appreciated as well. I note that the Meals on Wheels has also done a special drive where they're delivering food items to older persons, and I think this is a great initiative that we can assist our older persons now so that they don't have to be waiting in lines at the supermarket. And so I encourage persons to support initiatives such as that. I think at this time where donations can be given to help older persons and other vulnerable persons in the community, let us do so. We also received a donation last week of food gift cards, and it's something that we've been assisting some of our clients with as well, those that are in particular need for it. The donor specifically asked that it go to families with children because, we still have a lot of families that struggle with children and children not being in school and such. So we have those that we've been utilizing as well. So we really appreciate donations like that, and we appreciate people sharing in the community and helping out others.
Right.
I think at this time it's important for the Cayman Islands to return to that village. That village that I grew up with, that I'm used to, where if something happened to me, my family knew that everybody else would take care of me too.
Right.
And we need to make sure that our elderly are taken care of.
Absolutely.
Even if they don't have a phone, we can find a way to communicate with them. If they're living alone, we need to check in on them. It can be that you just crack the door and you're talking to them to make sure that they're okay. Ms. Cassandra gave a great example earlier about another family member emailing and saying, here, I have these concerns. And it allows us to go and check. As we said earlier, we changed the way that we deliver the services that we do. So it's not necessarily going into the homes now. It's more about email and telephone conversations. Right. And I want to stress that we say social distancing, but what we really mean is physical distancing.
Of course, yes.
We want to make sure that we're still as together as we can be, especially at a time like this. A lot of people are stressed and they're anxious, and elderly persons, especially if they're not getting the right information, if they're not getting that social interaction that they're used to too, can become depressed, can become sad, and not understand everything that's happening because they're not understanding everything that's happening.
Right.
And it's important that we as a community ensure that as we go to Foster's and we pick up our things or Hurley's or wherever, that we pick up something for them too.
Of course. And obviously another thing which I'd like to address, if you don't mind, when we come back from the news break, is the whole issue of communicating with the elderly, because I know that sometimes that can be a little bit difficult given that we have a lot of very proud people. Mm-hmm. So we're going to break now for the news, and we'll be right back. Please stay tuned to Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
For today's biggest news.
Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
The Chief Medical Officer, Dr. John Lee, today confirms the Health Services Authority has its first positive COVID-19 case, a patient who did not have symptoms but was being tested as a prerequisite for overseas medical treatment. At this point, health officials say they are trying to determine whether this is a case of local transmission. HSA says all the necessary precautions are being taken. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines. In news elsewhere, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has pleaded for medical supplies, warning that COVID-19's peak pandemic in the state will be worse than anticipated. Mr. Cuomo told reporters today the apex is higher than we thought and the apex is sooner than we thought. He said the federal government was not sending enough equipment to combat the crisis, noting the state needs 30,000 ventilators. New York now has over 25,000 confirmed virus cases and at least 210 deaths. And an Arizona man has died and his wife in critical condition after both ingested a form of chloroquine in an apparent effort to guard against COVID-19. The drug has been touted by U.S. President Donald Trump as a possible treatment for the virus. It is also an additive commonly used to clean fish tanks. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Pure and cleaner. They're there for you and me. As cleaner as you will see. Pure and cleaner.
Due to the current situation, Puritan Cleaners will be changing hours of operation and would appreciate if their valued customers can collect their orders from all Puritan Cleaners locations. Savannah, Countryside, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, 949-2452. Eastern Avenue, Georgetown, 949-7104. Hours of operations are currently 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. until further notice. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household, if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. My name is Patrick Schmid and I'm sitting in for Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. We are joined here by representatives of the Department of Children and Family Services, and we're focusing predominantly on services to the elderly within our community in light of the COVID-19 issue. I'd just like to take the opportunity quickly to remind the listening audience that we are welcoming questions at this stage, and the numbers to call, of course, are 949-8037 or toll-free courtesy of Flow 1-800-534-8255, or indeed you can send either a voice message or a WhatsApp message to 925-3261. With that said, I have also been asked just to remind the listening audience that the mental health hotline, which has recently been opened, I think it was last Friday that was made available, is 1-800-534-6345. 6463. That's 1-800-534-6463. So, with that having been said, just before we broke for the news, I was asking the representatives of the DCFS how they go about dealing with the fact that many of our elderly are very proud persons who have had very full and important lives and may not necessarily know how to ask for help sometimes when they might need it. So if maybe you could help us to understand a little bit more about how best to address that issue.
Well, I think working with the elderly, we certainly see that a lot of them still want to maintain that sense of independence.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's not something that we want to take away from them. So, if they're able to do things on their own, we certainly want to still encourage that. But certainly with the precautions that are there. So we still have older persons who are still working. They're still in essential jobs that they continue to work, and I mean that's fine. So we just encourage persons just to follow the precautions as it is. We know that a lot of older persons still like to be social as well, so have them still follow the precautions. If you can talk on the phone to your friends, to your family members, do that. A lot of churches now have the online services.
Mm-hmm.
So if older persons need that particular help, perhaps family members could assist them with setting up and showing how to access online services for the church, so that you can still have that connectivity to the community. One of the things that I think we'd be concerned about is older persons that are in isolation and not being checked on. So that is something that families need to maintain. Maintain that they continue to check on the older persons, any one of them that are in isolation alone. Make checks daily, make checks several times a day. Dropping off stuff. You can still see them from a distance, but just try to maintain contact with our older persons.
Of course, one of the exceptions to that, Nicole, I believe, would be in respect to the residential homes. You're essentially on full lockdown. Is that correct?
We are on full lockdown.
Yes.
So the only persons allowed into the homes at this point is staff.
Right.
But we have allowed family members to call in to the homes and
Mm-hmm.
speak to their elderly. We don't want them to feel that they're there all alone.
Right. And the activities, I don't know if Nurse Mendoza can chime in here, but for example, the activities that one does to keep persons who are in care, so to speak, occupied, has that changed at all, or is that pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same. For Golden Age Home, we try to prevent, of course, gathering in the daycare center for our elderly residents. During this time, we have staff who go into the rooms, do their daily devotions, read some stories to them, have the regular social contacts with them. As for Maple House, where we do have the school children, school-age children, the school's Lighthouse school specifically had provided us with activities for these children that they can do on a daily basis as well.
Excellent.
So we continue to provide them, to give them the most normal day that we can provide at this time.
Right. Excellent. And perhaps, Nicole, Cassandra, maybe you could address the issue of how DCFS goes about dealing with assistance rendered to or advice rendered to mixed family homes. That is to say, where you have a cross section of persons in the house, younger kids who are not in school, as well as some elderly persons, as well as, of course, the persons who are off from work mandatorily and so on.
Yeah. One of the things to do is to make sure that the message is consistent. It's simple but consistent. We want to make sure that the children understand how to wash their hands, that the elderly understand how to wash their hands, and everybody in between.
Right.
The
20 seconds is a long time.
My husband said the thing, saying Jesus loves you.
Yes.
As you're washing your hands.
Right.
And you'll get your 20 seconds, don't worry.
Absolutely. Especially if you like to sing in the shower.
Some people need to stay in there singing, but okay. But yeah, it's making sure that everybody respects each other's space, that we still can be social. If anyone feels that they're becoming ill, we need to make sure that if you're in that sort of mixed home setting, that they are sort of kept to themselves as much as possible. So if there's a room that the sick person can be in, then they need to stay in that room. Yes. On the radio, there's a really good advertising saying that develop a schedule.
Yes.
So if there's one bathroom in the home, then everyone goes and use the bathroom, and then the sick person after.
Right.
So we just need to make sure that we take the precautions in the home as much as possible.
Absolutely.
There are lots of children home right now. There's no school.
Yes.
Keep the day, as Ms. Nurse Derry said, keep the day as structured as possible. Children thrive on structure.
Yes.
Right. So keep the day looking like a school day.
Yes, indeed, the Honourable Minister for Education and her Chief Officer were both here earlier, not today obviously, but just a few days ago, reminding people of the need for structure and the importance of structure. But if you don't mind, we need to go to a call, and so we take that call, and then perhaps we could continue that particular topic. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Patrick.
Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you today?
Very thankful and highly blessed and watching everything.
Excellent.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your guests.
Good
I
afternoon.
would like to ask the guests a question. They don't have to give any names or anything like this, but the question goes like this. Are you all aware of any of the patients in these homes if they have been diagnosed with lupus? Lupus, are you all familiar with lupus?
Yes, ma'am, I am. I really can't say at this particular point what any of our persons in the homes are diagnosed with, for confidentiality reasons.
I know. This is the reason why I said you don't have to call the names or anything like that. But now listen, I know a lot of the people, elderly, even the young, complain about the joint pains and stuff, right? And when they go, now I'm sounding like a broken record on Radio Cayman with this lupus thing now. But these people, all these people that are these doctors and all this stuff, they're not mentioning lupus. They're saying pretty much everything else. It's like I've said before on radio or calling. I am a lupus patient, and I am not afraid to say so. Almost 42 years, going to 40 years. And the thing about it is, when people hear me talking about it, it's not only on radio that I talk about it. I talk with other people, elderly and even younger than myself. So, just on 18, I turned 69. Proud to be 69. And I asked them, could they ask me what is the symptoms? So first I asked them if they have pains. Yes, they got joint pains. So what do you do about it? They go to the doctor and they tell the doctor they joint pains and stuff. The doctors tell them that they have arthritis and give them painkillers and all this kind of stuff. So this is the reason why I'm mentioning this to you all now. Because you all can ask the patients if they have been checked for lupus. Okay?
One of the things I'd like to say is that, and thank you for calling in, by the way, we at the Department of Children and Family Services, we make sure that the persons in our homes that are under our care are seen regularly by a medical physician. I believe up till today, a medical physician visited the homes, and that person makes sure that medications are up to date, that they check on the health of the clients that we have and that we're caring for.
I don't understand that, but this lupus thing, look at the reason Dr. John Lee said when he was on the show a few days back, when I questioned him about why they are not mentioning lupus when they're having these conferences and stuff, he said it's because of the numbers of lupus patients. And I said to him, no. As I said to him then too, I said, I am a lupus patient. And there is many, many lupus patients that is not diagnosed. That's why I asked you this question.
Yes, ma'am. If I may just also add that that my interpretation of Dr. Lee's statement to that question is really just the fact that, and the DCFS is here to correct me because they will have more knowledge of this kind of thing if I'm wrong. But basically, that it's certainly like all other illnesses of significance, all other illnesses, the HSA will, of course, to the best of my knowledge, do as best as they can to check whether the patient or the individual is suffering from anything at all. So they're aware of it, because obviously any type of illness could complicate things if they were also subjected to COVID-19. But I believe, Nurse Mendoza has something to contribute to this as well.
Yeah, Mr. Patrick. Patrick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When you said about the HSA thing, they're aware of the lupus, I'm going to tell you who diagnosed me. And she passed on now many years now. A private doctor. You probably remember Dr. Coleman,
Yes, ma'am.
The husband and wife.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And I'm not going to go any further than that there now. But yeah. I know. Listen, I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor, but I got plenty of experience with things that I've been through.
Right. Ma'am.
There is a lot of people that need to be checked for this lupus. They are being told all the time about arthritis and what are doing, osteoporosis and all that, about the pains. No. Lupus can give you lots of pains and lots of different stuff that I can't talk about over the radio.
If you could just bear with us for another moment, I think Nurse Mendoza has something to say on the matter.
Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon, ma'am. Yes. So I've worked with some patients who have the case that you're talking about, lupus. Lupus is kind of a wide array of symptoms leading to this diagnosis. It is best that, you or the patients who have this be diagnosed. The diagnosis for lupus is very specific. If patients have symptoms like you've mentioned, joint pains, every now and then, doctor, primary caregiver, or your GP can already test for something specific. Specifically lupus. I am aware that we do have one rheumatologist on island and one visiting who specifically works with lupus clients. So with the concern with the COVID and lupus, lupus clients are quite vulnerable. I think that is one reason why you're asking about lupus at this time, because lupus patients take medications that make them immunosuppressed. So we need to also, as you have mentioned, which is what I thank you for, to make everyone aware that people with comorbidities like lupus, as you're more concerned about, have their immune systems really lowered due to some medications that they're taking on a daily basis, which is very important for them to know as well, that they really need to stay at home, keep that physical distance from different people. And if you really need to speak with your doctor regarding treatments for this at this time, that would be the best course of action that I can suggest.
Doctor?
Thank you.
Nurse?
Yes,
nurse?
ma'am. Mm-hmm.
I appreciate all that you said, but I call myself a walk-in drugstore. Because I've been on so much medication.
I know, yes.
But now, I know what I need to do.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
appreciate every word that you said.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
know what I need to do, and like I said earlier, this is going on for 2 years now. I know what I need to do, but I'm concerned about others that are not diagnosed. And yeah, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate very much of you all coming on, though. But look at Radio Cayman, I'm stammering now. Radio Cayman is my station. I had on 2 radios, and I won't turn down the one now that is in my bedroom. So I wouldn't get no feedback there. But anyway, keep on doing all that you're doing, and you can do more. I know that,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution, ma'am. Much appreciated. I'm not sure whether we have to take a commercial break at this stage or whether I think we're just going to continue on because we only have another approximately 10 minutes with the representatives of the DCFS for today. And it is certainly a pleasure to have them here. And they have a lot of important information to disseminate. Again, a reminder that if you have any calls or any questions for the DCFS, please do take the opportunity to call as soon as possible. The number again, 9498037 or 1-800-534-8255, courtesy of Flo. With that having been said, I know that Nicole, you had mentioned about, or Cassandra perhaps, or maybe both of you, and certainly this has been an ongoing theme. There's a lot of fake news out there, and in terms of, and of course some of that is also perpetuated or extended by virtue of our infamous Keyman Mile Road, and I'm not talking about the website. No, sometimes the Mile Road can be very efficient and very good, but sometimes it can be a bit misleading, and so I was just wondering if you could address the issue of how you emphasize, or do you emphasize the fact that the information that the people should be listening to should be the official information?
Yes, I think that is something that we need to keep saying and keep sharing, that the correct message really should come from the government, from public health. And I see lots of videos and lots of information that's shared, and I don't know where it's, exactly where it originated, but, I think people need to just listen to what is presented to us from our government, because that is what affects us here. And I do realize that there are groups of persons who really are not keeping up with the information, whether for whatever reason, it's their choice that they don't want to do. But I think it is something that all of us need to be mindful of, because we talked earlier about people in shared households, persons with households with elderly persons, with children, with younger adults. And I think it is a responsibility of all persons that we safeguard each other. And so we might have some younger adults who are still, in a stage where they want to socialize and to party. But I appeal to everyone, if you're living in a household, especially with a younger person, with an older person, who are the most vulnerable to this, that it is very important that you adhere to the precautions that are given. Because there are certain situations where young persons might be bringing persons to congregate, not within their household, but perhaps outside. And if you are, still congregating and, still in close contact with these are the things that could, make you susceptible to it. So, and then you come into the home, still with the same clothing. So these are things that you just need to be mindful of at this particular period. The precautions now have changed. There's now curfew. People just need to adhere to it, for the time that it's being put in place.
Absolutely, and we know that that's at least for 10 days.
Yes.
And of course the curfew hours just changed this morning. So instead of 9 p.m., it's now from 7 p.m. But at the same time, I don't think you can emphasize too much the importance of keeping aware of the changes as they occur, because it is a very fluid situation, and we previously had a limitation of 50 persons gathering. Now it's 10 persons cannot be gathered unless they're members of the same family living in the same household, as I understand it.
One of the things I want to say is that, just kind of following on from Ms. Cassandra, Danny mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Cayman is in a unique position in that we don't have as many cases as a lot of other countries.
Yes.
One of the things that I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the government is trying to do is to make sure that we don't become one of those other countries.
Right.
And one of the measures to do that, and the curfew and is becoming more robust as time goes on, is to make sure that we don't continue to pass the disease the virus from person to person.
Right.
We want to make sure that it's contained as much as possible.
Yes.
And the social gatherings, as Ms. Cassandra said, in terms of it can live on your clothing.
Yes.
Right? So we want to make sure that we follow up on each other, we check on each other, but we don't necessarily need to be in the same room to do that.
And that we remind each other as well sometimes, because it's quite easy to forget it's a completely different way of life that suddenly had to be adopted. But we do have a caller on the line. If you could go straight to that caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, man.
Good afternoon, sir.
You know what? It's taking something from us older people sometimes.
Of course.
They're talking about the lotus and that, right? I don't know exactly what the lotus is. That
lupus,
was what I had a few years ago. If it's like arthritis, because I had pains in my leg and my hip, I could hardly sit down.
Right.
And what I used for that is the moringa seeds. Somebody told me about that, and I started chewing up a few of those seeds in the morning, the evening, and now a couple of years ago, it's completely gone.
Yes, sir. I'm
That's
sure
good news.
There are a lot of traditional herbal remedies, shall we say, that do have some very positive effects. But she was actually yes, sir. She was actually referring to lupus, sir. But sorry.
One more.
Yes, sir.
The arthritis. This is another thing I'm positive of. If you rub down your body once a week, or maybe twice a week with peanut oil, I guarantee you don't have arthritis. And I've been doing that for years and given several people, including my dear mother.
Well, that's good advice.
I rub from my head right down to my foot bottom. And I do that once or twice a week. You won't have arthritis.
Yes, sir.
Maybe too simple. Some people, I find it hard for people to be too easy, but anyway, my little contribution to you today.
Thank you so much for calling, sir. We really appreciate that information.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So there we have it. We all know that the elderly have, and sometimes I'm not sure if that's the best term to use, but certainly older persons. Yes, have a great deal to contribute. Obviously, there's a lot of wisdom that has been garnered over the years, some of which has unfortunately been lost. But I'm sure many of them have a lot to share. We're going to be breaking very, very soon. So if I could just ask if you have any sort of closing comments that you'd like to share with the listening audience at this stage.
One of the things we just want to reiterate is check on the elderly, check on the older persons, check on the vulnerable, see how you can assist them, keep in touch with them. Make them know that they are valued and cared for, and you want the best outcome for them.
Absolutely. Cassandra?
I think there's a lot of older persons out there who try to help other older persons, and that certainly is commendable at this point. But I think we also need to ensure that these older persons are protecting themselves, because it's in their character to help out each other. But they also need to be mindful of protecting themselves,
right.
And that might also be protecting, the friends that they're helping out. So just encourage them to follow the precautions that are given. If groceries can be dropped off to persons, that you don't have to transport somebody to the grocery store or go to visit somebody to do something, then reach out to what services are there. Our offices are still open, 949-0290, if persons need help. And just listen out to the information that are being presented to see what services or what agencies you can seek assistance from.
Thank you so much. Nurse Mendoza, did you have any final comments?
Yes. I wanted to reiterate again, as everyone has been mentioning, just remember to follow all the precautions, keep the distance. It's the only way that we can really contain this and prevent it from spreading any further. Let's continue to check on our family members, the older persons in our community, our neighbors or so. And let's also remember to look after ourselves. We need to take care of ourselves in order to take care of people around us as well.
Indeed. So I'd like to thank all three representatives of the DCFS for being here with us and for sharing this important information. I hope that we'll have you back sometime soon. And all the best in your continued endeavors to do the best job you can for our community. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
We're going to a commercial break now, and we'll be shortly back with some new guests.
If your business is over here, but your customers are over here, adding more yellow to your business will bring you both right here. With everyone searching yellows, print, online, and mobile app, getting your business noticed is easier than ever. Book your consultation today at findyellow.com.
To protect the health of staff and customers, Water Authority Cayman has ceased providing face-to-face service and closed its office to the public until further notice. Only essential services that ensure customers have water supply will be provided. Customers can still conduct business with the authority electronically. If you need to pay a bill, visit our website waterauthority.ky and click on the Pay My Bill button. Payments can also be made via the local banks. Customers can contact our customer service team by emailing info@waterauthority.ky or calling 949-2837. Customers in Cayman Brac who require truck water can continue to make requests by calling 948-1403. For updates and important messages from the Water Authority, visit our website waterauthority.ky and our social media pages.
At Cox Lumber, Cayman's #1 contractor supplier, our contractor desks are open for contractors and builders who need items or supplies. Call us or email, and we will pull your order and have it ready for pickup or free delivery. Cox Lumber's Bawdentown phone number is 943-5055, or email us at bawdentown@coxlumberltd.com. For Georgetown, call 949-0661 or email sparky@coxlumberltd.com. Our retail operations will be closed until further notice. The safety of our employees, customers, vendors, and community is our top priority. For more info or to make an order, click on coxlumberltd.com. coxlumberltd.com. Cox Lumber, Cayman's #1 contractor supplier.
Persons having difficulty coping and managing stress during these difficult times can call a new confidential mental health helpline, which is operated by the Cayman Islands government in collaboration with private partners. The number is 1-800-534-6463. That's 1-800-534-6463. Hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Additional hours will be added as needed. Persons having difficulty coping and managing stress during these difficult times can call a new confidential mental health helpline, which is operated by the Cayman Islands government in collaboration with private partners. The number is 1-800-534-6463. That's 1-800-534-6463. Hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Additional hours will be added as needed.
This is a public service announcement from your Radio Cayman, your community radio station. Here are some coronavirus prevention tips.
Home isolation means staying indoors and completely avoiding contact with other people. You need to do this if you have symptoms of COVID-19. If you are practicing home isolation, you should stay in a well-ventilated room with a window to outside that can be opened, separate from other people in your home. Keep the door closed and use a separate bathroom from the rest of the household, if available. If you have to share these facilities, regular sterilization will be required. Consider drawing up a bathroom schedule for washing or bathing and have the isolated person using the facilities last.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
The Chief Medical Officer of the Cayman Islands, in an attempt of preventing the spread of COVID-19 in the community, has issued the following requirement. All persons who have arrived on flights from outside of the Cayman Islands since Monday, 16th March 2020, you are required to self-isolate for 14 days following your arrival. There are no exceptions. Non-compliance will result in a fine of $1,000 and imprisonment for 6 months on conviction. If this applies to you, please stay in your home or your temporary residence. Again, all persons who have arrived on flight from outside of the Cayman Islands since Monday, 16th March 2020, you are required to isolate for 14 days following your arrival.
National Drug and Alcohol Facts Month in Cayman is bringing a variety of competitions for all ages. Teachers, students, and schools, this is your chance to win big prizes by entering one or more of our competitions. Secondary schools and students, enter our TikTok competition, Battle of the Canvases, and the poster contest. Primary schools, your classroom door competition is all about healthy living. All the deadlines and information is on our website. Enter the competition. Let's get creative and shatter the myths today. For more information, check out our website, ndc.ky, call 949-9000 or email info@ndc.ky.
Radio Cayman News.
Local grocery stores are forced to implement product limits after panic buying by
The
residents.
government is taking in all seriousness the magnitude and the severity of this matter.
A reminder from the Chief Medical Officer, all people who have arrived on flights are required to self-isolate.
I think the most likely decision 3 weeks from now is an extension of the current state.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
At Canine Resort and Spa, your dog gets the red carpet treatment. That's why people trust us and pets love us. Offering doggy daycare, boarding, training, and grooming services for any breed, size, or style. From head to tail, we'll make your dog smile.
Choose from 4 grooming packages, from the basic bronze package of a hydrobath, shampoo and conditioner, wash and blowout, to the platinum package including spa services like a doggy massage and berry facial. Canine will help your pet look picture perfect. Receive a loyalty card where your 6th grooming package is free. Limited availability.
Visit canineresort.com for details on grooming packages, doggy daycare, and resort services. Canine Resort and Spa, where the posh dogs go.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for staying tuned to Radio Cayman. We are now joined by Mr. Colin Medford, who is the HSA Chief Pharmacist, and he will be discussing various issues of direct relevance to all of us in relation to the operations of the HSA pharmacies. So welcome, Mr. Medford.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
And just by way of reminder, we are open for calls. I'd ask that the listening audience just give Mr. Medford an opportunity to introduce the issues that he wants to bring to the fore, and then, of course, the phone lines will be open. So, Mr. Medford, if you'd like to take it away.
Well, I think one of the things, as far as pharmacy is concerned, one of the things everybody has been worrying about and pretty much placing a lot of emphasis on is having at least 2 to 3 months supply of medication.
Right.
And you can't blame them.
Right.
I mean, it's good forward planning, and it would be great if we could do that at this time.
Yes.
The thing is, we do have supplies of medication, but we want to ensure that everybody gets some of the medication and not just have it in the hands of a few, and then many don't have. So what we're aiming to do, first of all, is to ensure that as many persons as possible have gotten from the stock that we have.
Right.
And what I may say as well is that we've got quite a few substantial orders outstanding pending arrival on the island, and that is tenuous, of course, because of the present situation.
Right.
And what we are doing right now is, through our stores, is trying to get dates from our suppliers,
right,
to see when we will get those items on island.
Right. But as of right now, you're still following standard procedure insofar as you're issuing only a certain amount each
1
time.
month supply, especially for people who've got chronic conditions.
Right, sir.
We have made a couple deviations from that,
right,
for persons perhaps who are shut in. You don't have anyone to give you your medicine or to deliver it or to pick it up for you,
right,
under those conditions. And now we are working out what we can do for the elderly as well.
Yes, sir.
Because that's our greatest risk group as far as the current virus is concerned.
Right. And I understand, well, certainly has been said by a number of HSA representatives in an official capacity, of course, that the pharmacy is able to accept requests for refills, for example, via WhatsApp. Is that right?
We're just as excited as the patients are. The feedback from our WhatsApp has been tremendous. In fact, it has given the team a little boost because we're getting a lot of compliments, and we're happy about that.
Right.
But in general, our patients are responding to it very well.
Right.
A number of things I will say about that as we go on.
Yes, sir.
But the most important thing I want to say right now is that the service is, at present, we're just taking refills, and you can send them as pictures, you can list them out if you want, you can type it out. Anyway, just send it as a text,
right?
A text message, or you can. We can't take voice messages.
Okay.
It is not the best way,
right,
to take information, especially prescription information. Of course, we'd much rather to have it in writing so that we would have a record on hand.
Yes, sir.
And if we see any deviations on that record from what we see on our file, then we'll communicate with the patients. We've been communicating with patients as well, back and forth, because it is necessary for them to know whether or not their request was received,
right,
and also it's necessary for them to know whether or not we can fill it.
Right.
So we've been communicating actively with patients, and this afternoon my last check, we have actually reached so far we've done about 160 refills, and that is quite a bit of persons that we've taken out of the general population who would probably be coming into the hospital.
Can I just ask, especially for the benefit of the listening audience, we've all been told quite specifically that people should not come to any HSA facility unless it's an absolute emergency, and I understand that the same pertains to the pharmacy.
With the pharmacy, we're saying necessity.
Right.
Now, if you've had refills in the last 2 weeks, in March, then we're not going to give refills for those persons, because in essence, we'd be giving you 2 months supply.
Right.
But if you've not had refills for the month of March, or if your refills are going to be due, like around next week or so, we encourage you to come to get your refills.
Right.
And this is all in tandem with what I said earlier. We're just trying to ensure that the medication that we have is available throughout the island. We have several patients, and we want to make sure that everybody gets a share of the medicine.
Yes, sir. And can I also inquire as to how you are managing the situation when, for example, in particular, say a person who has less mobility has made a request for a refill, but in fact has no refills left on the system. Does the pharmacy then liaise with the relevant doctor and obtain a refill?
Yeah, well, what we've done in the past is persons like if you're asthmatic,
yes,
we will do a refill of your pump, but then you have to come back to the doctor after that, because we're not empowered to prescribe.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're incapacitated in any way, we need to know, because we can't assume. We need to know, and then we have to deal with that situation on a case-by-case basis for now. However, there are ongoing talks and plans to do something more actively about that, and I'm sure when that comes to fore, you'll hear about it.
Right. Yes. Certainly, there's been discussion around or questions around whether or not there will be a form of delivery service.
Well, you just jumped the gun there.
Sorry.
Disqualified.
Okay.
No. Well, basically that would be the obvious solution, though, wouldn't it?
Sir.
And that is what we're talking about at the moment. We're looking at the possibilities. We've been looking at it actually not even recently. We started looking at this about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Right. Seen at all levels, senior management as well. Right. And I do believe that we are at a place where we probably will, especially with the current situation,
of course,
we probably will come up with the answer to that to that proposal sooner rather than later.
Excellent. Mr. Joel, do we have a commercial break or can we continue on? So we're going to have a short commercial break and we'll be right back with the HSA Chief Pharmacist.
Your Radio Cayman 6 p.m. news, Monday through Friday, is brought to you by Logic. Your life connected.
Start getting your debt under control with a debt consolidation loan from Fidelity Bank. At Fidelity, your loan decision is quick, with no runaround. Plus, with competitive interest rates and fees, we will help you reduce your monthly payments and get you back to living again. Don't let the burden of overwhelming debt tie you down this year. Call Fidelity today and let's make it happen with a Fidelity Bank debt consolidation loan. Fidelity, we're good for you.
At Cox Lumber, Cayman's #1 contractor supplier, our contractor desks are open for contractors and builders who need items or supplies. Call us or email, and we will pull your order and have it ready for pickup or free delivery. Cox Lumber's Bawdentown phone number is 943-5055, or email us at bawdentown@coxlumberltd.com. For Georgetown, call 949-0661 or email sparky@coxlumberltd.com. Our retail operations will be closed until further notice. The safety of our employees, customers, vendors, and community is our top priority. For more info or to make an order, click on coxlumberltd.com. coxlumberltd.com. Cox Lumber, Cayman's #1 contractor supplier.
Hey, what's up?
I'm good, just been hanging out with some friends.
Oh, for real? Word is that you've been partying and drinking.
I've only been out a few times, and plus, I know how to handle my liquor. And alcohol isn't as harmful as any other drug, so whatever.
Bruh, first of all, your brain is still developing. Plus, too much alcohol can lead to liver damage or alcohol poisoning. Your organs are probably screaming right about now.
So how comes when my friends, my mom and my daughter drink, nothing ever happens to them?
Seriously? 1, you're under 18, which makes it illegal. 2, your brain doesn't stop growing until about age 25, and drinking can affect how it develops. Just because you see someone drinking and they may look fine, their body isn't. Alcohol can cause heart attacks, brain damage, memory loss, cancer, early diabetes, increased blood pressure, depression, alcohol
Wait. Are you serious?
Bro, I'm telling you.
No. I get it. These are some facts I didn't know. I'm glad you shared them.
Shatter the myths today. For more information on teens and drinking, visit ndc.ky.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Persons having difficulty coping and managing stress during these difficult times can call a new confidential mental health helpline, which is operated by the Cayman Islands government in collaboration with private partners. The number is 1-800-534-6463. That's 1-800-534-6463. Hours are Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Additional hours will be added as needed.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
One
of Cayman's bright and shining young stars. Local, regional, international.
Turning
to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program, because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. This is Patrick Schmid sitting in for Sterling Dewey Ebanks. It's a pleasure to be here with the HSA Chief Pharmacist, Mr. Colin Medford, who has been very kindly updating us on all of the relevant information regarding the changes that have been implemented in order to best accommodate the situation given the COVID-19 circumstance and issue that we're all facing. So, Mr. Medford, I believe that you had some additional information you wanted to share.
Well, I just want persons to know that there's also a WhatsApp service recently launched for Cayman Brat as well. That number will be made available through our PSAs. I don't have it at present. Maybe someone will send it for me while I'm here.
Right, sir.
But I can verify that has been done.
Right.
And I'm not too sure if they've started to use it already, but it is available.
Okay, sir.
And with the present curfew situation,
yes,
we need to let the public know that our hours have changed.
Okay.
Now, the change in curfew was today, that 7 o'clock. So we've told some persons before that they can collect the refills around 7 and so on. So it's important for those persons to know now that we will be closing at 5:30 today.
Okay.
And they would need to get to the hospital for the refills before that.
And will that be ongoing throughout the
Well,
course?
not refills, I'm sorry, for the pickups in general.
Yes, sir. So the 5:30, will that be ongoing throughout the curfew?
I believe so,
Yes,
until such time, until further notice.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
And we have a call on the line, but just before we go to that call, just as a reminder to the listening audience, the HSA also has and the HSA pharmacy in particular has a online service which is operable, so you can also utilize that as well. But I'd like to go directly to the call, if you don't mind, sir. So good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is, how often is the WhatsApp being checked for the refills?
Okay, and I think you're saying that because you experienced a lag today, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, we had a couple of meetings because of the new directives and so on, but we've been checking it almost every 20 to 30 minutes. And I say 20 to 30 minutes because it takes a while to take off a lot of the requests and to respond to those requests as they come in. So what we're doing is there's so many coming in at the moment that we're trying to get to a place where we'll be able to we'll be on top of it. We'll have just about 3 or 4 to respond to. But obviously, as a new service and a new system, we are trying not to leave anyone unanswered because people want to know what's happening to the refills and so on. So we had that meeting today, and it took a little time. And when I go back, I'm sure those refills that have come in will be dealt with.
Okay, and I have just one more question, please. What is the quickest way, in the event, say a person realizes, I need to have this refilled, I'm going to be out of medication, I have nothing for tomorrow. How do I go about ensuring to get a refill to be done for tomorrow so that I can have medication?
I would suggest you call the general practice clinic. Do you see the doctors at the hospital, at GP?
Yes, I do.
Right. I would suggest you call the general practice clinic. They actually have a refill process.
Okay. Would that be the 244-2716 number?
No, that's pharmacy. 244-2858.
All right, and what in the event if my doctor is not at the hospital, but the prescription is filled by the hospital, but there are refills on it, and I need it for the next?
They will evaluate.
They'll still be able to assist you?
A doctor will be assigned to that to that process, and you can just call, and they will give your details to the nurse, and she will pass it on to have it dealt with by a doctor. The other thing is too that if you have any queries regarding your refills or your prescriptions in general, we always advise patients to give us a call. I'm going to be giving those numbers out in a little bit, so you need to stay tuned for that.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
I'd like to thank that caller for their questions. And also, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Medford, it's correct to say that the pharmacy is striving to attend to all refills within a 24-hour period. Is that correct?
Yes. Now, with the new WhatsApp system coming on board, right, we had quite a few requests, as you could imagine.
Yes.
And so we've had in order to catch up, we've had to prioritize them. So some persons got a little over a 24-hour, but that's not the norm. The norm is for us to do them within 24 hours. Excellent. This is just until we have straightened out everything. And for the most part, people have been very receptive. Right. I must say that we've not had any negative feedback so far. Excellent.
And also, I was just trying to find the number for the Faith Hospital WhatsApp, but I haven't yet been.
Like I said, I think one of my colleagues is going to send that to me. Okay, I'm sure.
We have another 2 calls on the line, the interim, and so I'll just go directly to the calls. Good afternoon, you're on Talk Today. Good afternoon, you're on Talk Today. I think we've lost that one. We'll go to the next call. Good afternoon, you're on Talk Today. Hello? Hello, is anyone there? You're on Talk Today? I'm afraid we've lost both calls. I would just encourage those callers to perhaps call back, and it seems as if one might be coming through right now. Sir, is there, Mr. Medford, is there anything else that you wanted to apprise the listening audience of in the interim?
Well, you were talking earlier about the online refills.
Yes, sir.
And before I get to that, I just want to let people know that we've also got a non-contact drop-off.
Yes.
Where if they've got their containers, their bottles, their boxes, even if they write a list,
yes,
and they want to drop it off into the drop-off box, it is accessible from the hospital lobby.
Okay.
It is located just approximately about 2 or 3 steps away from the door to specialist clinic.
Okay.
You can't miss it. And there are Ziploc bags. We ask patients to just use one Ziploc bag per person.
Okay.
And choose the right size, the appropriate size, because we have different sizes. If you've got lots of containers to put in, then you use the big one.
Right.
If you've only got 1 or 2 things, you use the smaller one. But just one per person. And what you do is you put them in there, you seal it, and you just push it in like if it was going into a mailbox.
Right.
And it is retrieved on the inside.
Okay.
And they have to make sure, of course, that they put the right bottles in,
right,
and check to make sure that the refills they're ordering are the current ones that they want to get, because we'll take it for granted that what we get is what they want.
Right, sir.
And then at the end of it all, we'll have to do it all over again.
Right. Thank you for that, sir. I believe we have the callers now. Is it? Good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
And, my pandemic is kind of serious because, I'm on blood pressure and water pills, and I was off island from February.
Hello?
I think that call has also dropped off. I'm not quite sure what is happening in terms of the telephone calls at the moment. Hello, is the caller still there?
Could we ask her to call back?
Yes. I would ask the caller to call back, please. Hopefully we'll get through again on the second attempt. Do we have another call on the line? Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today. Right. Mr. Medford, I think we'll just continue on until we know for sure that we, pardon the interruption, that we have the persons on the line. And I had interrupted you again, I believe.
No, that's fine.
But can I just ask for clarity, the drop point that you're referring to, being near the specialist clinic. Now, once in the atrium, if you will, of the hospital,
yes,
looking at the pharmacy, is that to the left of your entrance?
It's to the right if you're facing inside the hospital.
Okay.
If you're walking inside the hospital towards the stairs that goes up to the offices or the wards,
yes, sir,
then it is in the wall just after the pharmacy door.
Right.
It's about I'd say about 4 feet, maybe 5 feet away from the door.
Okay.
And it is inserted in the wall. You can't miss it because they're all the plastic bags, the Ziploc bags are there. We provide them.
Right.
For the patients to put. We want them to individually drop off their medicines.
Right.
In those bags and into the box. If it is a list that they've written, they put it in the smallest bag, seal it, and put it in the same way.
Right.
But the important thing is that, like I said, and I can't say it enough, you need to put the correct information on there.
Of course.
Now, what I would tell people to do as well is to, on a piece of paper, a separate piece of paper, write your telephone number on that separate piece of paper.
Yes, sir.
And your date of birth.
Yes, sir.
And this will help us a great deal, because now under the current situation, as much communication as we can do, we want to do as far as the patients are concerned.
Right.
So we take their telephone numbers normally for other reasons, but if they could write their telephone number on a piece of paper, nothing special, any piece of paper, and the date of birth, and just put it in. If you don't know the date of birth for the patient and you're dropping it off for someone, that's fine. But we need a contact number.
Of course.
Yeah.
Certainly. Because obviously sometimes even the MRN number may not be associated with
most people don't remember the MRN. Yes. What is really good now is that our new labels and our new system, the MRN, is available. But we prefer to deal with the date of birth when patients come.
Understood, sir.
Yes.
And so, Mr. Medford, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for coming on and clarifying these important matters, and just ask if there's anything else that you'd like to add before we move to our next guest.
Okay. Well, quickly, I'm going to just we've spoken about the online refills.
Yes, sir.
And the online refills are available at the hospital's website.
Yes, sir.
On www.hsa.ky. And you just go to the pharmacy link, and you press that, and then the form will come down. The form on the website will come down, and you just fill out the form according to the instructions that are given. And the instructions that are given are very straightforward, and you've got a few options where you can put your medicine requirements in. Any problems outside that, they can give us a call at 244-2716 or 244-2715. Either of those numbers, and we'll be more than happy to help. Now, sometimes those lines are busy because we get a lot of calls.
Right.
So we just ask patients to continue calling. Now that we've got the WhatsApp, they can use the WhatsApp to send the query, and we will give the query to someone to respond to them.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you for being here. Certainly, I'm sure the listening audience has benefited a great deal from your presence.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And we're going to have a short break for the news, and when we come back, we'll have another representative from the HSA.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news.
Access. Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Health City Cayman Islands is confirming that 1 out of 2 new positive COVID-19 individuals identified from samples sent by the tertiary care hospital was an intensive care unit patient. The other is a medical staff member of the facility. The total number of COVID-19 infections among Health City staff members and patients is 4, with 43 samples being confirmed as negative for the virus. So far, 47 samples from Health City have been tested and are pending confirmation by the Caribbean Public Health Agency. A total of 78 samples from Health City have been submitted for testing to date, so there are currently 31 pending test results yet to be received. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines in news elsewhere. Amazon is teaming up with researchers funded by Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates to pick up and deliver coronavirus test kits. The Gates Foundation-backed Seattle Coronavirus Assessment Network is learning how the infection spreads. It involves collecting nasal swabs to track the virus among residents of Seattle's King County in Washington. And a new study that looks at lifespan in wild mammals shows that females live substantially longer than males. The research finds that, on average, females live 18.6% longer than males from the same species. This is much larger than the well-studied difference between men and women, which is around 8%. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For nearly 20 years, Kingsport Center has been the heart of the Cayman fitness and wellness community. In order to ensure the welfare of all, we will be temporarily closing on March 23rd, reopening on April 6th, unless otherwise notified by the Cayman Islands government. During these trying times, we encourage everyone to maintain a healthy lifestyle, mind, body, and soul. We look forward to continuing providing you with world-class service in the very near future. Remain strong and continue to show the world the power of Cayman unity. Kingsport Center, your one-stop shop for fitness, recreation, and relaxation.
Radio Cayman News.
Local grocery stores are forced to implement product limits after panic buying by
The
residents.
government is taking in all seriousness the magnitude and the severity of this matter.
A reminder from the Chief Medical Officer, all people who have arrived on flights are required to self-isolate.
I think the most likely decision 3 weeks from now is an extension of the current state.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman. Coronavirus prevention tips. Advice for vulnerable people. Extra steps you can take to avoid COVID-19. If you have a chronic illness such as respiratory disease, diabetes, heart disease, COPD, hypertension, or cancer, or are elderly, over 60, or have a compromised immune system, you can further protect yourself with extra precautionary steps in addition to prevention tips. 1. Limit guest visits at home to a few family and friends or your district community officer during an outbreak. 2. Avoid guests who show signs of flu-like symptoms. 3. Remain 3 to 6 feet away unless being checked by your healthcare provider. More importantly, remember you are supported. Call the HSA helpline on 1-800-534-8600 or 947-3077 if you have any questions. For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. We have with us now Dr. Richards, who is representative of the HSA as well. He's a hematologist oncologist with the HSA, and he is here today specifically to speak to us regarding the blood bank. And of course, this continues, as it always is, to be an important function of the HSA and indeed the service that is provided to the public. So welcome, Dr. Richards.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And good afternoon, listeners.
It's a pleasure to have you here, sir. And I'd just like to start out by saying that I would imagine that in spite of COVID-19 and everything else that we face, or any other challenges we might face, that the blood bank is always in need, is it not?
Yes, you're perfectly right. The blood bank is always in need because independent of the fact that COVID exists, there are other conditions that exist.
Yes.
People still meet into accidents.
Yes.
People still need to have urgent surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
So people still need dialysis.
Right.
People have other conditions that may require the use of blood or blood products.
Yes.
And so therefore there's always a need to have blood in the blood bank in storage.
Right, sir. And just for clarity as well, before I ask anything related to the special arrangements that are in place, I'm sure, the shelf life of the blood that is donated, how long can you keep the blood?
Depending on the type of bag that is used, the shelf life is about 30 to 35 days.
Okay.
And so, if you give a unit of blood today, within a month, therefore, if it's not used, then it would have to be discarded.
Right.
So it's a limited shelf life, and that's why we are always asking people and reminding people that because of that fact, that we always have to keep replenishing blood.
Yes, sir.
And we always want to have fresh blood at hand, for especially our neonates.
Right.
Because the babies need as fresh a blood as possible. It's as alive a blood as possible for them to keep them through that period if they should need it.
Yes, sir. And so can I just ask you if you would take a few moments to perhaps inform our audience about the special arrangements that are in place now, given that we have these COVID-19 circumstances and the limits on visits to the HSA facility?
Well, in keeping with the whole aspect of preventing transmission of COVID, the social distancing is something which is very carefully thought about, and worldwide it is something that is encouraged. And so while we do need blood, we have to schedule our blood donors.
Right.
So we schedule them with enough time between donors to allow for them to donate one at a time.
Right, sir.
Currently, we're having about 4 people coming in to donate per day,
right.
But we need to increase that.
Right.
We need to increase that for 2 reasons. One, because it is generally a slow period locally and internationally.
Right.
We cannot be sure of getting blood out of Florida, for example, because they themselves are going through a very slow period at the moment. And so we have to do as far as possible in terms of replenishing our own blood supplies.
Absolutely.
Our team is calling out to our regular donors and scheduling them, but we want to use this opportunity to remind persons out there that, hey, it is a humane responsibility that we have, and we're asking you to call in,
right.
to the blood bank and schedule to have your gift of life that we know can save 2 or 3 lives at the same time.
Absolutely. And sir, for each person, each donor, how much time approximately do you need with that donor?
For each person, usually between the paperwork and the donating of the blood, it's no more than half an hour. The actual process of donating the blood itself may be 5 minutes,
right.
But there's a little paperwork to do before, and we ask the donor to rest a little bit after donating.
Right.
So no more than half an hour.
Okay. And is there a different entry route to the...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. They do enter through the double doors by the emergency section, and they're usually escorted by the security just to make sure that they find their way in quickly, because there are restrictions in general to entrance to the various parts of the hospital. So the security will always escort them because it makes it easier, just facilitate the process.
Yes, sir. And what are your current opening hours then?
We open from 7 in the morning, and we usually go up to 7 o'clock. But given the new restrictions, that will be a little bit earlier, and I'm pretty certain that we'll announce that very soon. But
yes.
Probably by 6 o'clock we'll be locking off.
Okay. And is there a particular need for particular blood types at this moment?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. At the present moment, we always need O negative,
right.
because we can give O negative to anybody.
Right.
Right. And at the moment, we actually need, especially B negative, AB negative, and AB positive. These are usually a little bit more rare than other blood groups, but at the same time, while we say that we need the O negative, the B negative, and so on, we will not turn away anyone who has another blood group, right. Because we are always using them.
Of course. So your I suppose your current collection capacity would be somewhat limited by the new hours, but nevertheless, you could at least double what you're currently taking in, if I'm not mistaken.
I wouldn't specifically say our collection capacity is limited.
Yes.
Because, as I say, if it takes a maximum half an hour to collect a unit of blood, that would only be, if we're still getting 4 donors a day, that's only 2 hours.
Right.
And we are open for nearly 12 hours. So
right.
we could accommodate more people.
And I presume that for persons who are regular donors, the process is even faster.
Oh, yes. For them, the process, because they understand what to do.
Right, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And am I correct in saying that the best way to reach the blood bank directly would be to call you on 244-2674?
Yes, That's our number, 244-2674. You can call, make an appointment.
Okay.
Right? But you can also go online.
Yes, sir.
That's www.bloodbank.ky.
Yes, sir.
And, once you visit there, you can find out if you're eligible to be a donor. And I think you can also try and make appointments through there. But also, calling us is a quick way for doing that, and we can schedule.
Absolutely. And may I just ask, I believe I know the answer, but I'd prefer to hear it from you, sir. In relation to COVID-19, the coronavirus, to the best of our knowledge, it's not a blood-borne virus. So
No. It is a respiratory virus.
Right.
And there has been no link to COVID-19 causing any problems in terms of transfusion transmission.
Excellent.
And there's no risk to the donor themselves.
Right. So people need have no fear whatsoever.
Should not have any fear.
Excellent. Okay. And is there anything else that you would like for us to consider in relation to the blood bank right now that I haven't already asked about? Or should we? We are in fact open for questions from the public as well, just by way of reminder. But
we're open. We're open for questions. The whole question some people may ask is, what are the steps do we take to ensure our blood supply is safe?
Right.
And the important thing is that we depend on, firstly, largely on the honesty of our donors, and that's why we accept volunteer donors.
Right.
And clearly, if someone is feeling unwell at all, any fever, cough, cold, shortness of breath, anything, then we'd ask them to stay away.
Right.
Don't come to the blood bank and donate. But the routine screening process in terms of the pre-donation interview, as well as post-donation testing, those are usually enough in order to prevent any COVID transmission.
Yes, sir.
Just like other conditions, we also ask our donors, hey, if you should feel any way after donating blood, say you develop a fever in a day or two, please call us back. Let us know what is happening, because what we will do at that time is actually remove that unit or whatever blood product we have made from the circulation, and we would not transfuse that, we'd actually discard that. And we ask our donors to be as responsible as possible to let us know what is happening.
Right, sir. That is, of course, extremely important. We have a call on the line, sir. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go directly to the call. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Years ago, I used to donate blood. I got several gallons of blood from up here. But then they said I smoked marijuana, and I could not donate anymore. But now with some of marijuana legalized all over the place, do they change about donation if you smoke marijuana, or is that the same?
Well, there is no change in the policy at the moment, sir.
Because that eliminates a lot of people, and they're showing that the marijuana is actually good for your health in many ways. And not that smoke, it's drink the tea and all that. It's, And anyway, hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
No, there's, I mentioned yesterday, but I'm curious, this is not directly you, but if I have 1 minute, there's something else I just remembered. This is special and this is two things that I have tested myself a lot, is that whether you have constipation or diarrhea or that pain in the belly, I found that the plantain leaf, or younger leaf in the plantain, suck it, drop it in water, boil it, make some tea. That it cleans off your stomach very good. And one other one is I always use with my children, scrape out aloe vera and blend it with honey and orange juice. And drink about a half cup every couple hours. And I always use that for common cold, all for myself and my children. And I was just wondering, since they have a few cases of the corona thing there now, I don't see where it would harm in just giving them something to drink You know, it might, if happened to call, it might help them. I was in a harm in trying. Eh? Okay, that's my contribution again there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the information. As you will know, caller, and to the rest of listeners, there are lots of various kinds of treatments that are being proposed nowadays, but we can only recommend those that have been tried and proven. And so, please, we're just asking you to follow the science.
Yes. Thank you so much for that, Doctor, as well. And can I just ask, it does bring up an interesting question, I suppose, insofar as in the suggestions that you may have in your capacity for persons who are regular donors or who indeed are first-time donors, in terms of ensuring that they are. Other than ensuring that they're showing no symptoms of any type of illness, or if they are, they certainly let you know as soon as possible. But are there things that they should do prior to coming in to donate that may assist in ensuring that they give the best possible quality of blood, so to speak?
There are no general specifics, right? But we always encourage our donors, be hydrated when you're coming in. It makes it a little bit easier to find a vein.
Yes.
You don't want to stick as a person twice or three times. So that is probably the most important one. Right. The second important thing is that we remind our donors that they are giving a very, very important type of medicine. Mm-hmm. Which has to be quality assured as much as possible, and we are going to give that product to somebody else. Yes. And so they should be truthful at all times, truthful in what they have been, what they've been taking, truthful in whether or not they have had a febrile illness, having fever a few days before, a week before, truthful about what if they have any other underlying medical condition that may otherwise exclude them, or they're taking medicines. Be careful, just be careful and be truthful.
Yes, sir.
Those are the important things.
Absolutely. And so if I may just take you back for a moment to the current need. Mm-hmm. You were mentioning the universal donor, the O negative, I believe you were mentioning, in particular. But I believe that you have a current need for quite a few other blood types as well.
Yes.
Would you like to address that?
Yes. Just to reiterate that, for example, we right now our inventory is less than 50 units of blood. Wow. And I just want to remind our listeners that if we have an accident out there, right, or should one of our dear moms get pregnant, who's going to deliver overnight and she gets complicated.
Yes.
She could use up a dozen pints of blood.
Right.
Or one accident could use that up in no time.
Right.
And so that is why we need all types of blood. But the important thing of having O negatives at hand, and also all the other Rh negatives, such as the B negative, the AB positive and negative, they're usually more rare. We would always encourage people to come in.
Yes, sir. And when persons come in to donate blood, how many units would be the norm?
We take 1 unit, 1 pint of blood at a time, and usually for our male donors, it's usually like every 3 months they're fit to come back and give again.
Okay.
And our female donors usually every 3 to 4 months. We give them a little bit of extra time,
right,
just for their body to recuperate fully.
Right. Mm-hmm. And most people don't experience any sort of after effects.
Oh, no. Most people experience nothing at all. They sit down, they relax, they enjoy themselves, they have a laugh.
Yes. I've heard it's rather purifying for some people.
Some people say that.
Yes, sir. We have about another 5 minutes in case anyone else has any calls or any questions to put to the doctor. But Dr. Richards, is there anything else that you'd like to address at this stage about the functioning of the blood bank? Any special provisions in place in relation? For example, I was thinking if you have, God forbid, but if you do have an accident, a car accident, after curfew hours, presumably persons being called in by the blood bank would be given special passes so that they can come in for that purpose.
Well, we do have blood available for emergency.
Yes, sir.
But I'm saying emergency meaning maybe 1 or 2 pints of blood.
Right.
But if we're going to be giving a lot of blood, then whatever we have is going to dry up very soon. Right. We do not have facility for 24-hour blood donation. And, once a unit is collected, it goes through a process. We cannot give that unit immediately to someone. We have to go through a process of screening it appropriately and getting back the appropriate results that will allow us, therefore, to either discard the unit or put it for use into the circulation.
Yes,
but that's why we have the blood bank open. I think we're open up to 6 days a week. Right. And it's open almost whole day from about 7 o'clock in the morning. Under normal circumstances, up to 7 o'clock in the evening.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to cut off a little bit earlier. As I said before, we will be sending out that in the form of a PSA.
And how
because
long?
Because of the restrictions and the whole thing about social distancing,
Right,
in general, there's limited access to different places within the HSA, but donors should come by the accident and emergency section through those big double doors, and they'll be escorted immediately up to the blood bank, where they be able to sit down in quiet and donate their blood.
Right,
that is very important to understand, that also that, hey, look, this is something that we need all the time. The shelf life is very short, and so within 30 or 35 days, the unit of blood that you give today will no longer, if it's not used, will no longer have any use. And we can give blood 3 or 4 times for the year.
Right, sir. And so the persons that are coming into the hospital to make the donation would just simply identify themselves to the nurse at the
to the security at the entrance.
Okay, sir. Okay, and just looking at the screening of the blood. Once it's actually taken from the donor, how long is that process before it is ready then to be added to the blood bank?
Generally within 48 hours. Within 48 hours, we'll be able to screen and have it ready to go back into the circulation.
Right, sir. So right now, it'd be correct perhaps to say that it would be good if you could get as many persons coming in with every blood type, making donations. So
but just to ensure that everybody gets through in a timely manner, and to keep with the current public health measures and legal measures of social distancing, is very important to call in.
Right.
And make that appointment or heed to our calls, because we do call donors, but I'm pretty certain that we haven't called everybody. But as we are calling out, please call in, and so that we can schedule you to give blood. Right. And the number reminding is 244-2674. And you can also visit the website www.bloodbank.ky.
Thank you, sir. And if I could also, in our last few seconds here, just ask if you could perhaps highlight the particular blood types that you most frequently need, other than O negative, of course.
Well, O positive.
positive.
We frequently need and we frequently use most O positive. O positive is the most frequent blood type that we do have, but it's also the most frequently used. So that is always there, and that's for the exact reason why I said before that we do welcome all blood types.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that while we most times we'll have O positive, O negative we don't. Because these are very rare beings.
Right, indeed. Well, Dr. Richards, thank you so much for being here with us today. And are there any sort of closing comments that you'd like to make before we complete for this?
The most important thing is to recognize that A, we always need blood.
Yes, sir.
B, the blood bank is always open, and C, we thank our donors for being there through thick and thin.
Yes.
And although we have this current pandemic going on, remember that people also get sick from other conditions and will need your blood.
Absolutely.
And 1 unit of blood can save 3 or 4 lives.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure having you here, and thank you to our listening audience for your continued participation and for listening in to Talk Today. We'll be back again tomorrow at about 12:15. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Oh na 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 yeah. Oh na 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 yeah. Oh na 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 yeah. Oh na 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 yeah. The blood of Jesus break every chain. 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 Him conquer sin, him conquer death, him conquer hell, him conquer grave. The blood of Jesus is here to save. The blood of Jesus break every chain. Hey, Mr. Man, hear what I say. Hey, Madam Woman, hear what I say. Hey, boy, baby, hear what I say. Hey, little lady, hear what I say. Blood of Jesus, conquer fear demand. Blood of Jesus, conquer depression. Blood of Jesus, conquer poverty. Blood of Jesus, cover you and me. Blood of Jesus, conquer sex demand. Blood of Jesus, conquer disobedience. Blood of Jesus, conquer heresy. Blood of Jesus, the blood of Jesus, break every chain. The blood of Jesus, break every chain. Oh, yeah. The blood of Jesus, break every chain. Hey. The blood of Jesus, break every chain.
National Drug and Alcohol Facts Month in Cayman is bringing a variety of competitions for all ages. Teachers, students, and schools, this is your chance to win big prizes by entering one or more of our competitions. Secondary schools and students, enter our TikTok competition, Battle of the Canvases, and the poster contest. Primary schools, your classroom door competition is all about healthy living. All the deadlines and information is on our website. Enter the competition. Let's get creative and shatter the myths today. For more information, check out our website, ndc.ky, call 949-9000, or email info@ndc.ky.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go, pure and cleaner. They're there for you and me. Best cleaners you will see, pure and cleaner.
Due to the current situation, Puritan Cleaners will be changing hours of operation and would appreciate if their valued customers can collect their orders from all Puritan Cleaners locations. Savannah, Countryside, 946-1884. Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, 949-2452. Eastern Avenue, Georgetown, 949-7104. Hours of operations are currently 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. until further notice. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
A public service announcement from Radio Cayman.
Rumors and misinformation will not help us tackle the coronavirus. Remember, you can check on www.gov.ky/coronavirus to see trusted and up-to-date guidance from the experts. This page is being continually updated and should become your first port of call for the facts. Please do your part to avoid scare tactics and fake news. This government is not complacent. We will continue to prepare tirelessly, make the necessary decisions required in the best interests of the health and safety of our people who may feel worried, scared, or stressed about the serious nature of COVID-19, but we can and will overcome this public threat. Again, remember to cover your cough and sneezes, wash your hands often, and avoid close contact with persons, especially if they're showing signs of respiratory illness. Please stay safe, and may God continue to bless the Cayman Islands.
For the latest updates and information, please visit hsa.ky/public-health/coronavirus or gov.ky/corona.